Okay, I'm back from the cafe that I was working at. I'm back at home now. Uh, Sorry, the lighting is pretty bad. Definitely the next thing I'm adding to my little vlogging rig is going to be a gigantic influencer ring light box or something like that. But basically, I was at the cafe for maybe like 2 or 3 hours. It was really nice there. I really like it. The cappuccino I had was actually kind of gigantic, so I know I'm gonna be up until like 6 a.m. But I guess that's the goal. I'm getting my money's worth. That's why I went there. Honestly, I had some other work that I had to attend to, so I took a little break. But I'm excited to get back to it now. Like at the cafe, I went through an old conference paper that I had. That's what I'm editing right now to turn into like a complete academic research article. And in the conference paper, I'm pretty happy that I had my whole kind of argument outlined. So it's not like I really have to come up with any new ideas here. I'm just kind of expanding on what I have, fixing up the wording, and mostly just adding detail and context and referring to other scholarship, other existing scholarship, differentiating my ideas, and showing that I have showing that I am deeply informed and I have a good understanding of all the context here. So honestly, I'm like pretty proud of it, I have to say. And I'm really excited to keep adding to it because I mean, it really is. This one is kind of just like a passion project. This really is like my niche special interest. So yeah, I'm also glad that I've made it pretty easy for myself to now just keep adding to it. Because honestly, that's kind of why I was procrastinating, because it actually is also very difficult to look at stuff you've written a long time ago and try to remember where you were going with it and remember what was motivating you. So I kind of tackled that problem. That was what was really making me procrastinate, but I took care of it. So we can move along now. I took it from maybe like 8 or 9 pages. It's at like the top of page 12 now. I only added a little bit. Mostly what I did today was break up paragraphs and add some comments for myself, for my future self, as far as the revision process goes. Added a couple sentences here and there, added a little bit more of a conclusion, and I tried to break my argumentation up into sections so that I can start to focus better and elaborate on where I was going with this paper. So I added like an introduction and maybe like three main body sections. So that's the status of the paper right now. I'm trying to get it to like 16 pages. It probably has to be more around there, but I think the process is going well. And I made it pretty easy for myself. I was actually pleasantly surprised. Like, I read this article um, the other day without really thinking I would be able to use it for this project. I was kind of just reading it for my blog or, for this vlogging channel. I do have to say I'm holding I'm holding my camera on a tripod selfie stick right now and holding my mic, and I want to talk with my hands so badly. Like, you guys don't understand. I'm from New Jersey. I talk with my hands. But anyways, I didn't think get that much out of reading this paper, but it's about Haruki Murakami and postmodernism, um, and this sort of like metafictional quality that some writing has in the time of postmodernity, where it's like you're taking all these scraps of narrative and combining them into one like transcendent grand narrative. But the thing is, where it's like, after the fall of grand narratives, if we're thinking of classical postmodernism as Lyotard defines it. So as a result, it's kind of like joining together false histories and fake narratives and fiction with reality and making a sort of alternative history. And I really see that in Serial Experiments Lain in the what is it? The one episode where they're talking about like the MJ-12 and aliens, and I think his name's John C. Lilly. So it's this mix of like American scientific military technology history, but also outlandish things like conspiracy theories and aliens and fantastical things. So, I'm not going to comment too much because, there is a term for this, but as it stands, I have to gatekeep it. If you're really that interested, I'm going to share the article that I'm referring to on my Substack. So you'll have to check it out there. But, without explaining my whole argument and letting someone steal my paper idea, I know I sound like crazy defensive saying that, but like, you'd be surprised what has happened. Okay, there's real academic tea in this world. But anyways, that's kind of where I see that in Lain, and I think I can tie that into the paper as well. And honestly, it just adds some more cultural context because the article I'm referring to talks about this as well happening in Japan. So, and actually, even pre postmodernism, this is a storytelling technique that has been observed in Japan, uh, in other cultural forms. So, again, without giving away too much right now, I basically, even though I haven't touched this paper in a long time, it's not that bad of a thing because in between that time, it's not like I was doing nothing. I've been reading a lot of scholarship and I've become a lot better at being able to contextualize my ideas in these like intellectual histories, and alongside other scholarship. So it's always a slow process, but that's kind of the point, and it culminates in something that is really well researched and thoughtful. So I'm glad I finally got over this little hurdle, and now I can keep working on this paper, and maybe I'll check in with you again another day. We'll see how it goes. Okay, I just wanted to add a bit to kind of like round out this vlog. But basically, after the last time I checked in, I realized that I really don't know that much about UFOs, which is what's getting referenced in like that episode of Lain that I kind of want to write about more. So I decided to just like watch like a YouTube documentary about the Majestic 12, which is what gets referenced in the episode. So, you know, sometimes research can be very surface level. Sometimes you can, if you don't know anything about a topic, like sometimes that's a good place to start. So I just watch like UFO documentaries basically all day. But I think it was actually really helpful, and I thought it was pretty interesting because this actual like Majestic 12 theory, conspiracy theory sort of thing, it actually has the same kind of like metatextual element that I was talking about with this other stuff. It's based off these documents that are about this sort of like government group contacting aliens or a UFO and trying to like cover it up or create some sort of like intergalactic peace treaty. Well, basically, though it was like uncovered in the 80s and the documents were supposed to be from like the 50s, but it wasn't that the documents themselves were circulated. It was like a film photograph reel of pictures taken of the documents. So it's like a level removed. It's kind of funny. It's kind of like they're doing like retro analog horror even in the 80s. So I'm just really interested in the way that that kind of storytelling exists. It's like, again, this sort of like postmodern, you know, patchwork of narratives that are disjointed, not something presented in a single piece of media or a single story in and of itself. And that just kind of connects to like multiple interests that I have. And honestly, UFOs and alien stuff is actually kind of like a gigantic black hole in my knowledge base, because I actually do research conspiracy theories like as a theorist, like a literal literary theorist. I wrote my master's thesis on conspiracy theories, and at the academic conferences, they actually often have panels about UFO culture, and how UFO conspiracy theories, like, in particular function. So, or like what sort of cultural anxieties they represent. So, honestly, it is something that I need to brush up on. I spent too much time researching other types of conspiracy theories that I don't even know if I can talk about here. But it's something that does fit into my kind of constellation of research interests, so it is entertaining. And I did watch like a pretty good YouTube documentary about it. I'll try to like put the link below. But basically, like, it's just fascinating to think about. This guy was saying if these documents really were created in like the 40s, this guy in this video, and of course you should definitely fact check this, but he was saying that the first publicly flown helicopter, or the first time that a helicopter was flown publicly, was in 1948, which feels like it's not that old. So, you know, in the 50s, like, helicopters were extremely novel. So, yeah, it's like, okay, no wonder there's all these theories about flying objects, unidentified flying objects, because the flying objects in and of themselves are like something new and kind of terrifying. So, you know, it is always fascinating to think of the cultural history behind these sorts of things, which is why that is what I do for a living, or put all my time into. Yeah, basically I'm just kind of rambling, but that's just to fill you in on some of the other things I did, because I wanted to be able to properly add in a footnote and cite and explain what are the Majestic 12, or what this reference is and what it represents in Serial Experiments Lain. So that's a little update for the rest of this vlog, and there will definitely be another episode where I share more about my research, because I still have quite a bit of work to do on this paper. I have like the hard part done, but I still have a lot of writing to do, so I'll do another episode and talk more about that. So hopefully this was like a little more interesting than my other vlogs. I don't know, we'll see, let me know. Thank you for watching, have a nice day.